everybody. Welcome back to the second episode of the Teal Podcast. Thank you for joining us. It was really exciting to kind of start with our first episode last week, so we're really thankful to have everybody kind of come on. We appreciate all the feedback we've gotten so far. This week, we're really excited. We're diving into episode number 2, and we're starting right out of the gate with some big news. And Caron and I are going to talk about that a little bit more. But Caron, do you want to tell everybody what they can expect this week?
Yes, so we're very excited after working hard behind the scenes for months and months and months. We are going to be unveiling the web version of Teal, so you can finally see what Teal is all about.
Yes, that's going to be at teal-app.com, which is where I'm sure a lot of you are listening to the podcast. You can find us on social media. You can find us by going to that link directly. But yeah, that's where the web app is going to be live. And so we'll talk a little bit about what that means. But basically, as of today, you are going to be able to go on there, access all of the great features that Caron and I have been building out in the Teal app, whether you're coming on through your desktop, through your mobile browser. And that's going to work for you if you're on Android, if you're on Apple, any device that you access the internet through, you're going to be able to find the Teal app. So with that being said, we can finally lift the cover off and just kind of dive into it. So I think, the Teal app, like we talked about last week, it's really all about trying to help you effectively manage your food allergies. Mm-hmm. And so there's a couple really key components to that, and behind every feature and bell and whistle that we've built into the Teal app, there are stories and things from our experience and that others have shared with us as well that they see just in that food allergy life that have led directly to us developing the product the way that we have. So I think one of the most important, one of the best places to start is with what was one of the most commonly requested features, and that is being able to add multiple profiles to the app. If you have if you have more than one child with food allergies, how do you track each of them? And how having one central location to record all of this information. So we'll kind of start there and discuss a little bit further.
Yeah, absolutely, Joey. I think that's what's really exciting about Teal and the way that the app's working is that it's very much geared around family life.
Yes.
And whether you're the carer of somebody who has grown up with food allergies, or perhaps somebody with allergies yourself, you may not necessarily be the only person in your household suffering these challenges. And we actually, from our research and talking to different people, it is so much more common than what we actually realized at first. So the profiles are really exciting. So if what we found, I know in your family, Joey, you're the eldest of 3 boys.
Yes.
But you're the only person with food allergies. I've been speaking with a lot of families where actually the firstborn might not necessarily have allergies, but child number 2 and 3 do. And in some instances, the parents themselves have also either been born with allergies, or all of a sudden this has manifested itself in adult life. And with that in mind, we've put together an infrastructure that's personalized to your own journeys. So within the profiles, you may not all necessarily have the same allergies. So we've already thought about the top 14 as a no-brainer, but there are people that have allergies beyond that as well. And it's considering all those challenges that you experience. And with your profiles, you may be able to identify, say now, in our family, my little girl Aoife is allergic to dairy, eggs, nuts, and fish. And my husband has an intolerance to eggs and soya. So between those 2 profiles combined, it allows us through the app to be able to ensure that our recommendations and our suggestions are around us as a family holistically, but also pinpoints the individual needs and preferences which is really exciting, especially when you are looking for products or recommendations around eateries. The app intuitively feeds into that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you touched on a really important part, and that's the suggestions within the platform. So Caron and I have the good fortune to know so many great food product providers in the food allergy community in both the United Kingdom and the United States. And so one of the things that we'll do is we'll enter some of these different products into the platform, and then as you fill in the profile or profiles for you and your family, you'll check off which allergens that you avoid, and then the suggestions tab in the platform will pull information from your profiles at large. So the different allergens that your daughter has, that your husband have, those would be on one list of, okay, here's what, it looks at the family unit. Here's what our family stays away from. Here are food suggestions that you could all enjoy as a family.
Yes.
And that's just such a nice, I think that's just such a helpful tool.
Absolutely. And that's the central, I'd say that's the central hub of what feeds the rest of your experience on the app as well, right from looking at your food diary. So you have individual food diaries for the different people in your household, that you can record their own personal journeys. So if anybody's had any reactions, you may be a family that's only starting the journey with the young one, where your baby's starting the weaning process. And we know weaning can be incredibly challenging, if messy, at the best of times. But when you start to put allergies on top of that, trying any types of food for the first time brings in a whole different dimension. And it's that careful recording of what you ate. Is it the first time they tried it? Had they reacted before? How did the reaction manifest itself? What was the event that happened after that? Which is really key record keeping. Because until that point, we were just using tatty notebooks. And so many people, I mean, I love writing, but I've got about 10 different notebooks around the house, which doesn't help me. Whereas if I've got everything stored in a central place for my different profiles in my household, it just makes it so much more succinct and compact, doesn't it, Joey?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, kind of for everyone that's maybe just starting out to keeping track of a food diary, or maybe hasn't thought about this strategy yet, can you talk a little bit more about why that's so helpful when you have your annual visit with an allergist?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that struck us here in the UK, Joey, is that your diagnosis path here is not necessarily straightforward. It can be quite fragmented, and it's quite long-winded. So with the NHS, the resources are amazing, but incredibly limited, because the power to feed and look after everybody is very much in a waiting list system. So you are, unless you're actually tuned into food allergies and understanding or been through the process before, it can be incredibly overwhelming. So, from the outset, I think it's key when you are trying new foods, especially when you start with babies, is to ensure that you're able to remember and record what foods, were they raw, were they cooked, as part of that weaning process, so that by the time you do actually see somebody within the healthcare fraternity, your allergist, your GP or pediatrician may be the first people you see, and talk about any unusual symptoms that you may have had or your child may have had, because that can be quite scary as well. The first time a child develops hives or changes color or has mysterious types of poos, because that's a whole different ball game as well. Even when you're going through your breastfeeding as well, because your own diet when you're breastfeeding could be such an indicator of whether your child is actually allergic to something or not. And that's what we found in our own experience. I had to, with Aoife, I actually had to eliminate dairy, eggs, and soya from my diet very early on, because her symptoms had started so within 2 weeks of her life. And I just wish at that time I was able to properly record so that I could present a better picture to the clinicians and the medical professions that I was speaking with, because that would have really helped our diagnosis. The more information, the more data you can give, and also for yourself, it helps as well to compare and see if there's any trends in behavior or reactions, and what's also good, safe foods to stick to as well.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's a really great explanation. That's really why, we tried to, kind of just help digitize this process. And to your point, just recording how the reaction manifests. I think that's really important too, because what we see when we see an allergy is different from what a physician might be looking at.
Yes.
And so what's nice about this is that when you do want to record an entry, you would be able to go into the Teal app, select the profile of the person that you're going to be working with, and then enter the food that they tried, enter the, whether or not it was the first time, and then put the information about, the picture of the reaction itself. And you can add all that right through Mobile Smart Browser, through anything that you're working with. You can just right away add that information, and that's you have that to always go back to, and you can, when you're meeting with the allergist, select, okay, I want to see so-and-so's profile with only their experiences populating on the screen so I can show my physician right now.
Absolutely. And the other thing that's quite key as well to appreciate along those lines is when you are going through that diagnosis and that care management, there could be 3-4 different types of healthcare professionals that you're interacting with. So right from the outset will be your health visitor, you've got your GP, you've got your pediatrician, the allergist, you've got your dietitian, you've got your dermatologist. And then every time a reaction happens, depending on the severity, so if you do have serious incidents that occur, you're having to explain that to the paramedics, the A&E, the doctors, the nurses. So you're recalling that to at least 10 people on my fingers that I've counted. And you're having to repeat that story and that incident every time you have your future appointments. Because what's very interesting is how the healthcare professionals will always look at the historical data. Is there a history of things? And that's very key with allergies as well, because with allergies, it may not be the first time, it could be the 6th time that you've tried something that the reaction really manifests itself and becomes a lot more severe. So it's just allowing you not to have to just recall on and rely on memory.
I think that's really just such a nice, it feeds into that idea of just being this assistant to guide you through the journey.
Yes.
That one of the things that I've certainly been really interested in, as you talk about progressing through that journey. I love the way you always describe the other 364 days a year when you are not meeting with the allergist. So talking about the lather challenge. Now, this was something that prior to meeting you, it wasn't something I was familiar with here, being in the United States and having, a lot of those that food allergy experience when I was so young that it's past my memory. So I was really interested when we started talking about that, and that's something that we're going to also see as part of the Teal app. But I'd love to kind of just talk, what is the lather challenge and why is it so important?
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, the ladder challenge is probably one of the most key requested searches on the internet.
Yes.
And it's not something that you see on YouTube, which is 50 press-ups or some kind of fitness challenge or challenge. But from an allergy point of view, the ladder challenge actually, it's a reintroduction
Mhm.
of certain foods into the diet, and it's incremental increases
Mm.
of testing your tolerance, because within each food group or type of allergen, there may be different components that people are allergic to. So what we've developed is a way to actually manage your ladder challenges through the app. So it's intuitive, like a stop and go system, a red light
Mhm.
traffic system, because you can only proceed to the next rung of the ladder and the next step when it's safe to do so. So, for example, one of the major challenges, because it affects about 3% of children in the UK, is
Mhm.
dairy.
Right.
So the milk ladder challenge, and what we've created is the electronic interactive version of the IMAP milk challenge, which starts off with, it's up to a week per food group.
Mhm.
So you may start off with a biscuit, a malted biscuit, so it's milk in the absolute baked form.
Right.
And you start off with a crumb, and it increases as to how much you can have, provided there's no reactions and no adverse reactions, which could be dermatological, it could be
Right.
respiratory, or it could be gastro. So those are your key things:
Mhm.
breathing, your stomach, and your skin.
Right.
So as long as there's no reactions, then it's safe to move into the next rung of the ladder. Right up until you're actually able to tolerate milk in its raw form.
Mhm.
But I must caveat this right from the outset: the milk ladder challenge, for example, is not for everybody.
Okay.
It's only for, so you have the difference, the two types of allergies, is your IgE and non-IgE.
Right.
Anybody that's had a skin prick test or blood test that come back positive for IgE, meaning immediate, so the reactions will be within 2 to 72 hours,
Mhm.
are not to undertake the milk ladder challenges. They're under a special care plan, which would probably be a total elimination diet, depending on what the allergists and the medical professionals. So the challenges need to be undertaken under medical guidance at the outset.
Right.
But for non-IgE, where it doesn't manifest itself straight away, or it could be an intolerance,
Mhm.
those are who it's suitable for. And there's, so it allows you to actually input what you're eating, what times of the day, what was fed. We've got recipes to help
Mhm.
support each step of the ladder, and recording any reactions. So that helps take that back to the medical professionals. So when you have a new appointment, discussing what the next plan of action is, that
Right.
information is readily there, which is fantastic. And it keeps a record actually of past incidents. Because with the ladder challenges as well, if there are any occurrences of reactions, then it has to be stopped then and there.
Right.
And only if it was agreed with your medical professional do you restart it after a certain period. But we've also introduced, so above milk, we're looking at soya and egg, because there are also major challenges to undertake for the reintroduction as well.
Yeah, I think, yeah, obviously one of the most important things you said there is with the guidance and help from the medical community.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really helpful tool, but making sure that you do it under the right circumstances.
Correct.
And we'll have some obviously reminders just to kind of help, again, feeding into that system idea to guide you through and let you know, okay, here's who this is for, here's who this is not for.
Yes.
And if it is for you, here's how we can help. That's really the message that I think we've tried to cultivate within the app.
Definitely.
And the other thing I really liked is that, just how you talked about how this ties directly back into what we were talking about with the food diary. So being able to undergo this challenge if it's right for you, and then make the records and have all of this historical data to show your physician when needed. And that's, they would be able to look at all of that in conjunction with whatever procedures or like whatever they're doing that day at the office.
Correct. Yes. What's really exciting as well is within the ladder challenges, with the food diaries, and also your own personalized recipe book as well. The challenges, as I mentioned, do have the recipes. And we actually work with a team of key nutritionists, dietitians, and allergy advocate parents, and authors that have been through the process, that they have great recipes for the different steps and stages. So at that point in time, you've got great resources to help you prepare products and goods at home as well.
Yeah, and I think that the resources is kind of like one of the final major components that we want to discuss. And you just touched on two. So you talked about within the lather challenges themselves, how there's notes and recommendations from nutritionists that we've incorporated into the Teal app. But then you also talk about some of the community generated content, which is the other, really helpful component. And that's one of the things that, as a member of the Teal app, we have different forum conversations, and you're able to go in, interact with other people that are on, similar journeys as yourself, that can share their experiences, share their recipes, share some of their struggles, and, hey, here's what I learned, don't do this. Everything. You can share these different experiences, and it's broken down by sections. So recipes, general conversation, like all of these different types of things. Travel, eventually, when that's back on the table, will be a section. But being able to share these types of experiences with each other. And then as with using the recipe example, if you start to find some that work particularly well for you and your family, whether it's from the group chat, from somewhere else on social media, a website, anywhere that you encounter these allergies, even a physical cookbook, having your personal recipe book stored as part of your allergy, part of your Teal app profile. You can take a picture of the recipe, add the link if it's online, any notes to yourself that you want to, if you do, for example, a ingredient replacement, and you want to say, okay, use this recipe, except substitute this for that. You have all of that stored within your profile as well. So you don't have to search around with your dozen notebooks or your 10 link, your bookmarked tabs, like what I usually end up doing myself. I always have a million open. But being able to just go back to one place to find all of this as you're going through.
Definitely, Joey. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's all about having a central hub that's personalized to you and your journey, because that's the thing about allergies, is it is a personalized experience. Everybody can recount their own stories about their different allergies and how it manifests themselves and what affects them. And there may be other conditions that are also connected as well. And it's tapping into the fact that it's not a one size fits all for everybody.
Right.
And I love what you were saying about the forum, because that just reminded me, and that was one of the key drivers as to why we want to develop Teal as a central platform. Is in our first year, I can't even tell you how much time I spent on Google, and I must belong to over 100 Facebook groups around allergies, and there's probably 1,000 more on top of that. So it's interesting, because you don't necessarily negating where the information is coming from, how credible it is, and some people's opinions may be stronger than others, but may not necessarily be factually correct and right for your own circumstances. So that's why we wanted to ensure, through our community platform within Teal, you're connected with the right voices, from organizations to key individuals, and it just keeps everybody's there for the same reason. It's the most celebratory and complimentary and supportive community, isn't it, Joey? And I think that's where the forum is going to be fantastic, because I know from my personal experiences, every time we go to a restaurant, we find something that we absolutely love, I just want to run out and tell everybody about it.
Yes. Yeah.
And everybody we know is the same. We want to celebrate the fact that that enables us to participate in situations that other people may just take for granted.
Right.
And just think is normal. But to be able to go to a restaurant, and or one of the products that we've recently come across is Norbles from Creative Nature. And
Yes.
it's the allergy. So the Norbles are fantastic, because in the past we've had to hide our Maltesers and chocolates, confectionery and sweet treats from my daughter, because her milk allergy is so severe. But we've found these alternatives that she can just share, and people that we've introduced these products to that don't have allergies, it's a bit of a fight between the bag. So it's great when we can find things that just feel like you're just normalizing situations that you would have been excluded from previously, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, I mean, that ties directly into the food allergy experience on my whole life growing up. You know, whatever you find those items, you know, whatever it is based on your allergy, you just can't seem to have, when you finally find it. I mean, that's
yes.
Oh, it's huge. It's just it's a liberating feeling.
It is. It is. Yeah. Yes, definitely, and it's great as well, because so many of the entrepreneurs that we're working with, and the businesses that are geared to serving the community and are going to be involved with the platform.
Yeah.
Each come from a personal place of their own challenges that they experience, whether it's as parents or as individuals themselves, that they had to be the solution provider when that challenge and that need arose. And it's just bringing all that together in a safe place for the allergy community. But one thing that is glaringly obvious, obviously Joey's speaking to you from the US, I'm here in the UK. It's all coming together in a single platform. So you can interact and connect with individuals and brands from across the pond either way, which is really exciting.
Yes. I think that's the perfect, preview of what's to come in future episodes. I mean, we are going to have a lot of these solution providers on and get, chance to hear their stories, learn about what they're doing for the community, how they're doing it, and where you can find them in one place. I think that's such a needed resource, and we're really excited to share those conversations with you as we come. Caron and I behind the scenes have been working on filling up our diaries with appointments with all just a great selection of people from throughout the community that do everything from blogging to creating products to different types of services, just a whole wide range, so you can see the full experience of what's out there waiting for you to take advantage of. So that's what's on the way.
Yes.
So what do we do now though? What can anyone that just listened, made it through this episode with us, what do you do right now after hearing about Teal App? What is the next step?
Well, the next step, I think, is to come and try it out for yourself.
Yes.
I mean, there is just so many wonderful features. We're going to be launching officially very shortly. But if you've just listened now and you want to come and see it for yourself, see how it works, I think there's a way we can do that, isn't there?
There certainly is. So until November 30th, what we're doing is as of today, we've launched the full web app. Again, desktop browser, mobile browser. You can go on there, try the app out. And for anyone that creates their membership prior to that official launch date on the 30th, you're going to have a 50% lifetime discount on your membership. So you can go on there, create your profile, and you'll have access to it for as long as you want at that half price.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly hope so. So it really
Okay.
gives you a chance, come on and try
Yeah.
it out and start to take advantage of all these different all these different tools coming from throughout the community.
Okay.
It'll be a great resource.
And that's only available until the 30th of November.
Yes, correct. So
Okay.
that special is running from now until November 30th, 2020, with the full launch of the Teal platform.
Okay, that sounds exciting, doesn't it?
Very, very much. We've been working on this for a long time and can't wait to really see that come to.
Yes.
So for everybody listening, thank you again for sticking with us. Hope to see you on the Teal app and hope to see you back for future episodes. We'll share some previews. If you aren't, check us out on social media at Teal App UK. You'll be able to find previews of what's to come. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.